really ready to go. Hey, everybody, welcome to Fantasy NBA Today, a sports ethos presentation brought to you by our great partners at FanDuel. My name is Aaron Bruski, and a quick reminder today, I'm solo. There's no Doc here. You don't see him anywhere here, do we? He is out for today. He will be back with us tomorrow, and you will also get Q&A with Dr. A, which is super exciting, and you can ask the dude anything. I swear to you, you can ask him anything, and he will answer. On this episode, we'll break down Tuesday's NBA Cup quarterfinals game, take a peek at players you guys want to stash in advance for tomorrow, and then end the episode with a Who Should I Stash segment. We'll look for some must-stash players. Oh, I love it. Let's get to some quick news that hit during last show. Is Trae Young, right MCL sprain, is optimistic about returning in December. So I don't know. Looking at today is December 9th. I don't know if that qualifies as great news, but kind of good enough, I guess, for me. I think I would have preferred if he had been back like this upcoming week. I think would have been a better timetable going back to the original injury. So we can sort of punt a little bit the question of what to do with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, what to do with Jalen Johnson, and on down the list of Onyeka Okongwu. All having great seasons. The Atlanta Hawks, a great story. And then the question of whether or not Trae Young is, additive to this team. I think that one is super, super intriguing. I think he can be, and it's just about style of play and everybody meshing. And that might be where the rub lies. So we'll track that as we go. Plenty of time to look at that. Welcome to the new listeners. Hello. Welcome to our show. Welcome to sportsethos.com. Give our memberships a look. We have B150 projections that I use for my high stakes leagues. Over the summer, I take about 400 hours and I put together the projections for the season. And as we go through the season, we basically suss all of that stuff out as things are happening. So these projections, they're Vegas grade. They can't be beat. And they power all of the tools over here that you need to win your leagues. And then we have articles that go above and beyond what you guys are going to find on social media or even here on YouTube. It's the old pen and paper. It's amazing. It can do things. Let's get into our top 5 streamers for tonight. We actually, on a small slate, have some pretty good streamer action. Let's start with Anthony Black and Wendell Carter should be rostered, but if they're not, I think they would be your top streamers for tonight. Anthony Black looking at a nice 2 to 4 week, but probably 4 week timetable with Franz Wagner out. If he can just get the free throw shooting squared away, he would be a top 100 guy. Free throw shooting is really holding him back right now. And if that doesn't matter to you, then you got yourself a top 100 play. Wendell Carter Jr. playing at a top 100 level for more or less the entire season, maybe top 125 in some segments, but that's good. It's good for him. And I think he's actually a low-key kind of key to their success, integrating Desmond Bane. And Bane is the key for Orlando to be what they want to be. If they can keep Bane up in the 25-point scoring range and he's bombing away from deep, then I think you see the other guys do well and everybody wins basketball games. And then that bet they made on Bane starts to make sense. We'll also keep an eye on Tristan da Silva in this game. He has not been good lately. He had about a 2-week stretch where he actually got defensive stats and put it all together. So it actually can happen. Prior to that, I don't think we had any real evidence that anything in the cash counting stat, probably the defensive categories, that he had any potential there. So he showed us a little something this year. So keep an eye on him. Also looking at Jordan Clarkson for tonight. Now, Miles McBride, I think he's all the way ruled. He's got to be ruled out. He's getting an MRI and all the different things. So I can't imagine he's playing in this game. But that means Jordan Clarkson can get in there and kind of do his thing. I don't think we have an update on Karl Anthony Towns just as of yet. But if Towns doesn't go, that means there's going to be even more need for Jordan Clarkson. But absent that, Jordan Clarkson can step in, get you some scoring, some threes, some assists upside. And I would also look at Mitchell Robinson from that game. The rebounds, field goal percentage, and blocks. If Cat doesn't play, Mitchell Robinson will be a great stream tonight. Goga Bitadze is my third streamer for tonight. We've got blocks. He's basically getting you a steal and a block every game. So that's been good for him. He's been inside the top 150 in his 16 minutes per game, or whatever it is that he plays. I'm not expecting much more than that, but it's good to know that he's been relatively consistent. If you're sifting for streamers in the light week this week, definitely Goga Bitadze on his year-to-date production alone should signify that he can play for your fantasy team. It's risky. It's very few minutes. It's risky, but they're going to need him maybe more now than ever because of the Franz Wagner injury. I don't expect them to play two centers at the same time right now. So just kind of keep in mind that everything will go along as status quo. Next up, we got Sandru Mamu Kailashvili. I failed again. He's been okay. Him and Jamal Shed, if you're in a deep league, I think if you're expecting production in the top 175 to 200 or 225 range, and if you have a specific need for assists, threes and steals, Shed is good. Sandro Mamukelashvili. God, I had it earlier today, and I just can't do it. I must not know basketball. The production for Mamu is across the board. It's a little bit flighty at best. I don't know how much I like it, but this week you got to kind of like anything with a pulse. Davion Mitchell and Drew Smith round out my top 5 streamers. I would actually have them probably pretty high on this list, maybe even at the top. Davion Mitchell is very consistent for what he brings in Miami, and they love him, and a little bit banged up. Drew Smith, also a little bit banged up. He's been very good on a per minute basis this year. You could probably hang your hat on some steals from Drew Smith if he plays, and them being a little bit banged up. If they don't go, give Pell Larson a look. He's been struggling lately with his shot. Also, just his general production has been down, I think, in these situations is usually when he shines. Let's look ahead to Wednesday and check out some streamers for the Wednesday night action as we get into NBA Cup action. I think the San Antonio-Los Angeles game is going to lean more towards stars, or not stars, old vets. I said stars. Well, Harrison, you're a star in my eye. Harrison Barnes, I think in these kinds of games, you got to look at the veteran leadership and just the calmness that Barnes brings to the lineup and the rotation. Not necessarily the Dylan Harpers and the Stephon Castles of the group. Keldon Johnson, I think, is going to be elbowed out. Julian Champagnie just kind of does what he does. If you want to kind of a dark horse, I think that Julian Champagnie might actually be my next play on this list. If Wemby doesn't play in this game, I think you could also look at Luke Cornett, who's been a late round guy lately, and that's better than he was when he got the first nod after Wemby's injury got announced. So Cornett, very, very viable. But when you're looking at the Burrito brothers, I don't consider, by the way, Dylan Harper a burrito brother. I think he's graduated out of burritos into some fine dining somewhere. But Harrison Barnes in this game is who I would pick when you're throwing a dart at which of the San Antonio Spurs you should stream. And on the other side, I think it'll be Rui Hachimura. I don't love the stat set. I don't love the production. I mean, if you wanted to say, let's say you needed some steals in your diet, I would actually look at Marcus Smart at that point. I do think that the experienced players are going to play. Jake LaRavia would probably be my third pick from that game if you want to try to get in on some streaming action from that game. But Rui will probably score 15 points with a couple threes, get you maybe 4 or 5 rebounds, hopefully get you a steal. I know this is very low-end stuff, but it's slim pickings. And if you want to look over at the Oklahoma City, Phoenix side of the line, I'm not thrilled about the Oklahoma City situation. I think AJ Mitchell would be somebody to take a look at. And I guess let's talk about them and what to watch for later on. But I don't like the way that game sets up. The players that should already be rostered are already rostered. And when you're looking at the streamer guys, or the guys that are like classic streamers, I just don't like their situations. I think it's hard to pick between them, and I think the upside is going to be lower than it normally is. So we'll talk about that a little bit more depth here in a minute. Guys, while you're checking to see if these players are available in the waiver wire or on your leagues, take a moment and hit the thumbs up on this video. Thank you so much. All right, let's get to the Heat at Orlando in NBA Cup action. I got odds of the Magic +1, and the interesting thing here is you got some injured star theory. This is all over at FanDuel. The Magic +1. I like the Magic in this game just because I like the toughness of all of the players involved. I think Paolo without Franz is kind of better than Paolo with Franz. He's just, there's less reads. There's less, just like sharing of the ball. They can run a Palo-centric Desmond Bain counter offense, and it will hum a little bit in relation to what the odds makers think, Orlando as a team is against Miami as a team here. Now they're going to have some challenges. I think Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware will, make life a little bit tough for Orlando in this game. But Miami's kind of got some issues of their own. They've got Tyler Hero, who's played well when he's been on the floor, but coming back from a toe contusion. So the tempo might be a little bit off there. And then the back end of the rotation, the Drew Smiths and the Davion Mitchells are still getting healthy as well. So not too concerned about that aspect of it, but, there is a little bit of rust and a little bit of, a little bit of shock to their system. Norm Powell's been in and out or dinged up a little bit. So a team that was hitting on all cylinders for a little bit is now trying to work some other pieces in, and Orlando still a good basketball team. Anthony Black getting in there and providing big minutes. I don't see a tremendous fall off, and that's good for Orlando. So I wouldn't bet a ton on this, but I do like Orlando at home and sort of a remember us kind of a situation. So I'll be watching for of course, it's a cup game. I want to just watch it in general, but I'm going to watch for Tyler Hero to see how he's doing. I want to see what the new post Franz Wagner stuff looks like. Can Tristan Silva be good? All the things I just said and more. The Knicks at Toronto. The Knicks are 4.5-point favorites on the road. These odds are over at FanDuel, and interesting stuff. Like there's no RJ Barrett for Toronto, and theoretically that should probably hurt them a little bit, and some interesting revenge angles there. But I kind of don't think it's going to hurt them as much as it seems like it will. And 4.5 points at home is interesting, given that I think that the Raptors are a little bit undervalued here. But I don't like this play for Toronto because New York's their history and their big game experience. While they're not going to sell out, I think, for this cup game, I think that they're competitors and they're going to want to win. And I think their experience in a ramped up game that might even have more physicality. We'll see what the refs do with this coming week. I don't want to bet against the Knicks. So I'm a no bet on this game, which is 4.5 for the Knicks, minus 114 over at FanDuel. Now, as far as the what to watch for aspect of this, you got Miles McBride out, OG's ramping up. I'm going to really be watching Mikal Bridges in this one. I've been telling you guys, you got to sell high. You got to sell high. You got to sell high. I'm putting together B150 ranks for our NBA FantasyPass subscribers right now. And I'm grappling with the projections look really good for Mikal Bridges, but something has got to kind of change here. He can't be the number 7 fantasy player in 9-cat leagues anymore. He can't be the number 14 player in 8-cat leagues anymore, with OG Anunoby back and stealing possessions from him in the places that he likes to operate on the floor. Defensively, I'm curious about what has happened with Mikal Bridges that's different than past versions. We have the same team for the most part, and Mike Brown has come in and really, whether it's saying, hey, it's okay to go out there and get steals, what is the actual reason for this uptick in defensive stats? Is it a flash in the pan? Is it because he's got more spring in his step? Is it just the coaching? Is there an allowance being made, or is it that in the areas of the floor where steals and blocks occur, that would have previously been occupied by OG Anunoby, that he's the beneficiary of those stats? The defensive stat equation and how these things come to be is one of the more interesting things in fantasy basketball, and each situation is different. I remember when Boston brought all of those players together a couple years ago, and I think I faded Jaylen Brown, but that was the Derek White breakout year, and I think people were hot on him and going 3-4 rounds ahead of everybody, knowing that all those good defensive players were going to come together and create more turnovers. That was one example of a defensive stat equation working out like that, but there's plenty of other counter examples, and it really does come down to the specifics of the personnel involved. And with Mikal, I just wonder, is OG going to come in and start to steal those stats? My projections for the B150 for Mikal Bridges are pretty strong. If I went just by those, I would probably be telling you that you need to, in a 9-cat league, demand top 20 value at minimum. In an 8-cat league, I'd probably demand top 25 value at minimum. And that's probably the limit of what you'd be able to get there. But that is exactly what I'll be watching for in the New York Knicks universe for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Are we going to see this decline out of Mikal Bridges, who is absolutely wrecking fantasy leagues right now? Also, we'll watch to see who the beneficiary for Miles McBride's absence is. And he was in a walking boot, left ankle sprain. I guess this is probably a guarantee he's not playing. And probably not for a couple weeks. So we got a little bit of a ramp here for somebody to step up and do their best Miles McBride impression. And I think, unfortunately, it will be a split between Jordan Clarkson and then miscellaneous other. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's get to, should I stash this player? I like this one. I like this segment. Has been good. Let's start at the top of my personal must stash list. And that's going to be Justin Champagnie. And it's close. It's close. If you had a 150 player league and let's say top 75 or top 100 is the only thing that's playing, whether it's games capped or you just, that's the level of play at your league, maybe I would not call Justin Champagnie a mustache player, because I really think the aim here for him in a reasonable scenario, if it all pans out, is top 75. So let's call that the ceiling. And if top 100 or top 125 is the only thing that's playing in your league, you're betting a little bit here that Justin Champagnie is going to be worth it for you. But if you're in the vast majority of fantasy leagues where top 150, you got 156 players, 156 players, and you've got top 125 that plays, I think you've got to take shots like this. You can't just sit back. It's too easy to just sit back and when somebody has a good game, say, "Oh, I'll just go pick them up." Or, when they have a bad game, finally, "Oh, you got to drop them." That's reactive analysis. If you're in a competitive situation and you need to be ahead of everybody, then you've got to make moves like this. And Justin Champagnie is starting to get minutes. He's been one of the best Washington Wizards over the last 3 weeks. Up into the top 90 range. And the bottom line is, if they flip the switch with Justin Champagnie and they say, "Hey, you can go out there and play basketball," and he gets 25 minutes per game, he has a really good shot at top 75 value. Maybe he runs up and down the floor and isn't a part of the action, as we've seen sometimes when they don't really let him loose. And even that's not bad. It's 100 or 125 value. And this team could absolutely, with a player like him, because he's a little bit of a do-it-all kind of a guy, could go out there and say, "All right, yeah, okay, we got banged up and we're tanking, and we've let the veterans go, we traded them, we've done whatever we've done, and we want to finally see what you have in a bigger role." If he gets up to 30 plus minutes, not only could you get past the top 75, but the dude's been hitting free throws lately. That's not really a part of his game. If he figured out how to shoot free throws, a lot changes. By the way, his brother is pretty good shooting the ball. So it's not like it's that much of a logical leap that he could actually, be more like his brother. Why don't you be more like your brother, Justin? Except for the fact that you're actually a better per minute fantasy player. So Julian, why don't you be more like Justin? Though both of you are in my heart. I love you, Champagnies. Great job, guys. But seriously, Justin Champagnie, it's going to happen fast for him. And if he's out there getting 25 minutes per game, if they flip the switch, and I'm going to bring in Tristan Vucevic at this point, not really, he's not here, but I'm going to talk about him right now. He will be right behind him. And Vucevic in, say, 25 minutes is probably about a 125 guy. Now, I'm worried about Alexander Sarr. He's still around, and he's probably not going anywhere for some time. The one issue with Sarr that makes this a little bit more appealing is if he gets preserved, we'll call it that. If he gets hurt, but obviously if he gets preserved down the stretch for whatever reason, it's Tristan Vucevic time. And that we've seen that already multiple times. And I think watching film on Vucevic, he looks even better than last season. He's becoming one of those classic big man archetypes where he can pass a little bit now too. I don't want to go overboard with that, but I've seen some stuff out of him that's a little bit next level. He can shoot, he can move, he can block some shots. More of a shooting big man than your traditional get down there and get you 55% or more from the field kind of a big man. But he'll be right behind Champagnie. It's just a matter of when they flip the switch in Washington and let these two particular players, and they kind of have them in a little tandem as well. It's a pretty robotic thing that you see out of Washington where they just go click, and then you get Champagny and you get Vukcevic. If Vukcevic goes off, I think you'll have top 75 production for him this season. So I don't think he's a must stash player. And like I said, with Justin Champagny, if your league is shallow, I don't know that he rises to the threshold of mustache player, but everywhere else he is. And if it doesn't work, you'll take another shot later on down the road, but you just can't be reactive with this stuff. Like if he goes off for 20 and 10 or whatever he does, like he's already picked up. And that's why you have to be projective with your fantasy analysis, not just reactionary. Let's get to Adem Bona. I don't think he's a mustache player. And I think we're watching just sort of like the worst of the worst for him right now. And I would say, as I've said millions of times on this show, try to find your way into Andre Drummond. If you want to get a good fantasy combination, what you basically have is you have Drummond getting all the stats now. Whenever Drummond falls apart and whenever Joel Embiid falls apart, which is over under, I think I revised that to 24 games for Joel Embiid as far as my prediction for how many games he plays for the rest of the season. By the way, I think Philly is noticing that they're markedly worse with Joel Embiid on the floor. So that's going to have an impact at some point in time. Those two dudes getting injured, Adem Bona being at an early to mid-round level from that point forward is why we've been talking about him all season. So he's a luxury stash at this point, but find your way into some Andre Drummond. Maybe you even take a haircut, like give an extra round of value, give an extra 2 rounds of value. And I've got Drummond, for whatever it's worth, positioned as something in the top 75 to 90 range. And there's actually more he can do. I just don't want to project that because I think if he's doing more, that means he's playing 25, 28, 30 minutes per game. And I don't like that for Andre Drummond. He looks like he's in the best shape of the last 5 years, but that's too many minutes. I would actually rather Andre Drummond play like 25, 26 minutes per game on a consistent basis for the entire season. And then at that point, just take the 80, 90 value and bank it. But you get Andre Drummond, back that up with Adem Bona, and then you got yourself a good equation for the end of the season when it matters in your playoff formats. And by the way, if Adem Bona starts getting going halfway through the season, you're going to have great fantasy value out of that position. So we'll just leave it all at that. Dennis Jenkins is next up on the list. And where is he as a stash? Well, I kind of have Jenkins ranked at about 175 going forward for the rest of the season. So this is taking into account the next month, which is going to be probably pretty bad for Jenkins. And then what I do believe is that Detroit sort of wandered their way into a little bit of a problem here. They're going to get zoned up for the foreseeable future until they find a way to crack the zone. And I don't care, Duncan Robinson could be one of the best shooters in the league, but he is not on his own enough to crack them out of that zone. I think this will be a story. This is going to be something that they're going to have to figure out. It's going to be on the back of Asar Thompson. It's going to be on the back of Jalen Duren. It's going to be on the back of Isaiah Stewart. But those two guys, the last two guys I just mentioned, they're stuck. They're not going away from Duren. They're not going away from Isaiah because Isaiah plays 20 minutes per game and he's pretty damn good. So Asar Thompson becomes the issue. I think the answer to this one is that you bring Tobias Harris off the bench. You put Asar Thompson at power forward for the same amount of minutes he's playing already. Okay, yeah, that lineup still can't shoot, and you're thinking, okay, yeah, I need Tobias Harris, but you load up the three, the basically guard positions. You load it up with shooters. I believe Dennis Jenkins is a part of the solution to this, but because everybody came back at once, and of course the contracts play, Dennis Jenkins didn't hit the shots that he had, and that they were good shots. He didn't hit them, so you got other guys that got to get a chance. Dennis Jenkins, he's going to be tough to have for 3 to 4 weeks. I told you guys I kept him in one spot. So I personally in 200 player leagues had to move on. There's too many good guards out there. I had too much guard depth. I needed more forwards and centers. So Jenkins, he got cut. I held on in one spot. But the minute that we see a sign that he's going to see a crack in the rotation there, he's good enough. He's defensively good enough. He offensively, I think the shooting consistency is something he needs to work on, but it's not like he's missing by a lot. A lot of these shots were in and out. A lot of these shots were very bad, or they were the back iron and almost going in. So Jenkins caught a little bit of bad luck there. And at 175 going forward, I don't think that's mustache territory. I don't even think it's proactive stash territory. I think it's just a good to know thing, because the minute that dude gets 30 minutes per game, because of his high usage rate and because of his ability to get into the lane and do things, the ball finds him and teammates look to him and he gets the ball. So he could be top 75 at that level, and at 22, 25 minutes per game, he can give you the late round value you need to justify having him on your team. And then you get the upside beyond that, which is always what we're looking for in fantasy leagues. This list is it's a B150 greatest hits list. Thank you so much to our great intrepid producer, Andre Lamouche, for putting this one together. Keon Ellis talked about him in the last show. I don't think he's a must-stash guy right now. Concerned that he has something cooking that isn't being reported in Sacramento. So if you're in Sacramento, you want to ask Keon Ellis if he's fully healthy, that would be appreciated. Thank you so much. But beyond that, it's the whole thing. I think they've killed his confidence. I think they've screwed up his development. I think what we saw last season was at the level of first-team defense. This year, I would say it's more like third, fifth, seventh team defense, something like that. He goes out, gets his 8 to 16 minutes per game, probably tries to do a little bit too much out of the flow, just not like the being ahead of the quick, twitchy, fast guards in the league. He was constantly ahead of them. And now he's just kind of like rolling with it. It's not that dominant Keon Ellis performance that we're accustomed to. So which thing is it? Well, there's probably like 4 things it could be. And at this point in time, what we need to see is commitment out of the Sacramento Kings. Hell, they could even be not playing him to suppress his market value, though half the league is called, actually 2/3 of the league has called on Keon Ellis to see if they can pluck him in a trade. And there's a lot of variables to that alone. If he ends up somewhere else, who knows what it'll be like. So I think with the smoke in the air and the fact that we don't see the quickness that I'm accustomed to with Keon, I'm going to fade this a little bit, but be ready. When you start to hear DeMar DeRozan trade rumors and things start to pick up, or it just happens, Keon Ellis will be a speculative ad at that point, and then we will have question marks. We'll be like, is he going to be the guy? Is he going to get the minutes? Is he going to be able to get you the steals and the blocks and the threes and be a part of the offense? And remember, the Sacramento Kings ran him out as a point guard at the end of his first season in the NBA. And he actually showed some point guard skills at that point in time. Now that's a long cry from where he's at today, where there's question marks about his handle. And I don't think he could handle that kind of an action. If they developed it from day one, yeah, maybe, but it's the Kings. They don't do that. And we all know that. So we will move on to Walter Clayton. He had a pretty good game the other day. I'm pretty high on Walter Clayton. I think he does a lot of things really well. I think he's like the poorest man's version of Steph Curry, the poorest man's version of Steph Curry, which is probably a pretty good compliment, Walter. He is not a part of the everyday game plan in Utah. And until that happens, I don't think we could call him a mustache player at all. I don't even think we could call him an advisable stash. But if they flip the switch and allow Walter Clayton to play basketball, which right now they're just not, if they allow that and he gets up to 20, 22 minutes per game, he can start to flirt with some late round value. It's probably going to need 27 or 28 minutes. So that's a long way to go to get there for Walter Clayton. So I'm going to say we don't stash Walter Clayton. Now, one player, his teammate that needs to be on rosters right now is Ace Bailey. Pretty consistent in the late round value range. I do believe he has another gear in him. I'm a little concerned that we don't see that gear this season, but for a player with a high draft pick who's got a really, really kind of high ceiling, I don't know what Ace Bailey really is yet at this stage, because he plays in an offense that if it's not Keontae George just blazing by somebody on the first step, it's then, okay, we're going to run this motion stuff for Lauri Markkanen. Okay, cool. If that doesn't work, all right, Ace, where are you at? And Ace is taking a lot of tough shots. That's what he's known for out of college. I'd like to see a more Ace Bailey friendly offense to know, can Ace Bailey be X, Y, or Z? And then additionally, defensively, what can we count on out of Ace Bailey on an every night basis? Like what's this dude's stat set is kind of constantly in my mind as I watch the numbers go up and down for the Utah Jazz box score on a nightly basis. So he's a must roster player, must stash, if you will. If those numbers aren't doing it for you right now, don't worry, they'll get better. How much better? I don't know. But at some point in time, if he's at a top 80 value. I don't think that's bad for your fantasy team by any stretch, and any competitive situation. That's really good. Let's get to Bilal Coulibaly, number 8 on this list. I believe that Bilal Coulibaly is hurt, and I believe that's why we haven't seen a breakout. And I believe, or a mini breakout. I don't know that I would predict a major breakout for Bilal Coulibaly, but I think that this is a player that Washington had enough confidence in to kind of give him the ball and let him go a little bit last season. This year, we've seen none of that. The stats have been in the 175 range. I would like to see Bilal Coulibaly take like 2 months off or something, or a month off, and just get right and just come back healthy. And, maybe target the last third of the season to see what you can kind of recoup the off-season stuff, all the injuries and all the mileage for a young player. It's working against him right now. So I would not be stashing Bilal Coulibaly. I would just be hoping that in about a couple months that we're talking about a pickup. We got 2 more names on this list. We got Ty Jerome, super interesting. I think we probably got like 4 weeks or so before Ty Jerome becomes a thing again. That calf injury was really bad. It would have been great if they had some more accurate injury reporting out of Memphis. I don't know. I could bitch and moan about the injury reporting in the NBA, but we'll leave that one alone for now. Ty Jerome, when he comes back, will be stepping into a really intriguing situation. New system, for him. And will Ja Morant even be around? Who knows? Ty Jerome, his limitation is his body. Like, if he can't, he'll get all the minutes he can handle. I just don't know if he can handle more than 27 of them. He traditionally hasn't really been able to. Traditionally, he's really been able to handle like 24 or 25 minutes. So I'm so intrigued by the what if here. Could like Ty Jerome play 30 minutes a game? Let's say Ja's not around. Let's say the system really agrees with him and they have made him the centerpiece in the small amount of action we saw during preseason. If he's the centerpiece and he's got this fantasy friendly game that's all efficient and you get popcorn stats, it's all great. I don't know. Maybe he's a top 50 guy. Who knows? I do think that we are very close to must stash territory for Ty Jerome. It's probably like 2 weeks off to be in the sort of must stash. And I'm talking aggressively because you're going to basically see like whatever reporting comes out. And if it makes it super clear, then all bets are off. But it's going to be murky probably. And you'll probably get like a T-1 week or a T-2 week kind of an announcement that Ty Jerome is on XYZ timetable. And I think you need to be like 2 weeks ahead of that. And so I believe that will probably be something in the next couple of weeks where in an aggressive, competitive situation, you need to be ahead of everybody else, that it will be must stash territory for Ty Jerome. If you got a deeper league, things are even tougher than that. It might be right now. What is right now for a mustache player is Aaron Nesmith. And I don't know that it's like run to the wire and drop your worst player time to go get Aaron Nesmith. I believe that we can probably count on top 100 to 125 value for Aaron Nesmith, better in 9-cat leagues. Indy's a weird place right now, though. If they can win some games and stay at least marginally competitive in the East and keep this from being a total train wreck where they just start being super conservative about all the different things, I'm just concerned that all of the efficiencies are going to go down for all of these different players. Now, right now, they do have most of their guys and they're playing a little bit better. I believe they're 4-2 in their last 6 games. So this is a good thing. They got Jay Huff and they've integrated Jay Huff. Aaron Nesmith just helps that entire equation. And if that's a situation where that kind of value is really tough to come by, let's say you're in a 200-player league where 150 plays, or in a 150-player league where 125 plays, and you're in a 9-cat format, I think Aaron Nesmith could be that dude. And when he's playing at his best, he's a top 75 guy in 9-cat leagues. And that's where it really starts to get hard to find that value. So Aaron Nesmith, not must stash for your team, but somebody in your league will should already be on that. I think the return is on its way here pretty soon, and somebody should be able to find value in that. And that's going to do it for this show. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to keep this content coming is super simple. If you're listening on the pod feed, take 60 seconds and drop us a 5-star review, which helps us a ton. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the Sports Ethos channel so you never miss a new episode. Thanks, Andre. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, Doc. Thanks to the fantasy basketball content team, our tech team, all the great stuff going on at sportsethos.com. Go check out the free app for Andre, for absent Steve, and for all of us here at Sports Ethos. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode of Fantasy NBA Today, presented by FanDuel. See you guys.